What's up with it, y'all? Today, so now check this out. Listen, so I want to be discussing today about how a transit can really mess you up for the rest of your life if you're not truly aware of it. On top of you already having like a very karmically negative birth chart, right? Because transit won't mess everybody up. Everybody not all, you know what I'm saying? But for the times that do, remember, the planets are always in motion, right? So guess what? The same energy that those planets carry are going from house to house, from sign to sign, right? In the actual sky, right? So now you got to remember the same sky is already mapped with the same sky is how your birth chart is mapped, right? The sky divided into 12 different regions, you know what I'm talking about, through either from Vedic astrology, Sidereal, the actual stars, tropical astrology, the actual equinoxes and solstices, right? So what I want you all to understand is that these transits can affect you, especially if you have a already more negatively inclined birth chart, right? Real talk. So now we gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So now, but before we do, let me take y'all up over here. So now listen, for anybody who want a birth chart reading from me, hit me up on any one of my social media platforms. This is my main one. It's KAIN Ultima, but really the page in front of Rex right here. This which I need to come hit me up on. But now my birth chart readings. Here you go. And listen, these are I got so many reviews. I got so many reviews. I got video reviews too. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. So yeah, so if you want your birth chart reading from me, please go on, come on. And also, right here too, right here on TikTok, look, turn it down a little bit. Right here on TikTok, listen, I got ebook. I got 3 ebooks out, right? So now check this out. Uh, check this out. Let's go back. My first ebook, I got the Lilith ebook, right? So now 3 books, one mission, total soul reclamation, right? So now this ain't astrology for entertainment. This is a warrior wisdom for those who've been silenced, betrayed, or like born in spiritual fire, right? So I got my Lilith book, right? And it's gonna be teaching you all about, you know what I'm talking about, how to look at Lilith from a very unique perspective, right? Still with her actual core themes, right? But I'm showing you how to understand the shadow aspect and how to heal that aspect, right? The 12 signs in there, I believe, yeah, the 12 houses, yeah, and you'll really understand, right? And it's for all women and men. If you want to really understand Lily too, I suggest y'all buy it as well, right? So now it's $18 a piece for all the books, or you can get the bundle for $66, right, for these 3 books. Now I do have an additional 4th book, but I'm trying to figure out the price range on that. So now listen, I got the Arudalagna. I can't wait to make my next video might be about the Arudalagna, right? So now the Arudalagna, right, is basically how people see you in the actual world, right? So now you got the regular birth chart, and then you got how people look at you in your life, right? Which one do you think it'll be better to make money off of? And it's better to operate in under the guise in a positive way that people are already see you as, right? So this would be a good book. Then this was my first ebook, right? The esoteric astrology, Into the Darkness of Hope. There's a lot of miscellaneous things regarding like more deeper and occultic aspects of certain planets, right? And how to look at them and understand them, right? So yeah. So if y'all want them, listen, hit me up. This is my TikTok right here, Revelation KAIN, right? So now, got that out the way. So we got that out the way. Now it's time to talk about these trends. So now, what is the trans? So watch my trans video from yesterday, right? And so, but transits are basically when planets go through different signs and different houses, and they affect you and or a large scale to people, right? You got generational planets, right? So now let's look at what I've typed up. So now let's scroll down here. So now, okay, so now malefic, right? For those of you all who don't know what malefic planets are inside of Vedic astrology, malefic planets are simply planets of hardship, planets that might bring a little bit more struggle, a little bit more like, okay, man, I gotta, oh man, it's kind of bringing sometimes more pain. And the malefic planets are Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. And for those of y'all that don't know, Rahu and Ketu in Vedic astrology is called the North and South Node, right? Mars, and Sun. Sun is a mild malefic. I mean, it's not like a true malefic like all the other ones, like just full on, but it has a mild malefic quality, right? And think about it, the sun's a soul. So what is that telling you about the soul? Suffering is a part of growth. Well, that's one way you can look at it, right? So now let's get into it. So now malefic aspects to the transiting moon, right? So now when the moon is aspected or conjuncted by malefics like Saturn, Mars, Rahu, or Ketu, it can create a dark fog of anxiety, depression, and paranoia or rage, right? So what y'all gotta understand is that just off the bat, just right off top, right? Certain aspects we're talking about with the moon. The moon is the mind, the moon is the emotional component of who we actually are, right? So you got to remember, the moon stays in one zodiac sign every 2.5 days, right? But now check this out. Let's say, for instance, right, the moon is going into, I'm trying to think, let's say for instance, the moon going into like Aries, right? The moon conjunct Saturn. Yeah, the moon conjunct Saturn move into Aries, right? And you get Aries inside of your eighth house, right? Eighth house is the house of death, rebirth, crisis events. Man, listen, your mama might go through issues, right? You probably could even start to have suicidal tendencies, right? It can get that deep with it, right? You know how some people like, I was feeling like that last week, or that's just the past few days, but I'm good, it's cleared up now. Yeah, that's some transits coming in and out. That's why people be going through the, well, I know I don't feel like that anymore. Yeah, it's some transit, right? Because the moon. I'm telling y'all, man, listen. When certain planets aspect the transiting moon, especially in certain houses, yeah, it can create a it can create some deadly circumstances sometimes. So now Saturn can bring emotional numbness, loneliness, and detachment, right? Why? Because Saturn rules what? Restriction, right? It rules taking things away. What's more restricted than you being by yourself and not being around anything else, right? So restriction and isolation aren't exactly the same thing, but they can be viewed, you know what I'm talking about, like similar in certain ways, right? Now, Mars creates explosive anger, right? Impulsiveness and aggression. So off top, like I said, you might just get mad and want to fight somebody unnecessarily, right? A lot of times, like right now, it's Aries season, right? I think the sun's Aries. So since the sun is in Aries, and hold up, let me make sure the sun is in Aries. Let me see. So over here, yeah, the sun is in Aries. Hold on, let me make sure this is Sidereal though. Make sure this is Sidereal. I think it is Sidereal though. I think it is Sidereal. Is it Sidereal? It's a Placidus system. Yeah, I think the sun is in Aries though. I believe so. But it's no. This right here say the sun is in, hold up. Let me see. Oh no. This their regular birth chart. Yeah, okay, they regular birth chart. So I'm so confused. I'm like, hold up, what? So now, so check this out. So now, in real life, I believe the sun is actually in Aries inside Sidereal Vedic Astrology because it was just in Ravati Pisces last week. So I know it's in Aries now from Vedic Sidereal Astrology. So what you got to understand is, y'all, listen, like certain transits can make you more violent. I'm telling you, certain transits can make you more violent, right? So now Rahu brings what? Hallucination, delusion, obsession, craving, right? So you could probably be like, man, these last past 3 days, I've been trying to do this one thing you've been trying to just hone in and focus on, right? And K2 gives emotional detachment, spiritual crisis, or feeling lost. So you might have a moon transit where you like, man, I just don't even really give a damn. I'm good. And think about it. You see how these things are very short things, right? Because the moon, it only goes through these different signs. You so put it like this: planets are gonna aspect where the other planets are at, but the moon is currently moving, right? So if you got Saturn in like the fifth house in your birth chart and the moon transits in your actual 11th house, now that Saturn is looking at that moon. So now that moon is getting affected, right? But after the 2.5 days, that moon gonna go away and that Saturn not gonna affect it like that no more. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. But think about it. So just because it's a temporary thing, don't mean that them short time frames, think about it in real life. You can change your whole life can change just like this from a single bad decision. So imagine with these transits, right? Real talk. So now, example, the moon conjunct K2 in Scorpio, debilitation can make someone emotionally explosive, paranoid, and experience spiritual abandonment or numb disconnection from the body, right? Yeah. So now check this out. So now the moon in the stunner house, right? 6, 8, and 12. For those of you all who don't know what the stunner houses are kind of like malefic houses too, right? They're the houses of hardship. Sixth house, eighth house, 12th house, right? The sixth house naturally ruled by Virgo, eighth naturally ruled by Scorpio, 12th naturally ruled by Pisces. Now, These houses are known for suffering, losses, and obstacles and isolations, right? Sixth house, inner conflict, mental overthinking, toxic work, social drama. So think about when the moon go there, because the sixth house rules what? The actual workplace, right? But the thing is, the sixth house does rule like the battlefield, conflicts, wars, suffering. Man, I'm telling y'all, even illnesses and diseases too. So now in the eighth house, right, psychological meltdowns, hidden fears surfacing, sudden emotional shocks, right? So and that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. The thing about like these moon transits, you see how bad it can get. You can end up ruining a friendship or a relationship doing like a certain transit. Like right now, it's the sun's in Aries, so a lot of people might be fighting more than usual, right? Because you got to remember the sun is in the Aries, Aries season, right? So you got to remember we're gonna be kind of getting influenced by that Aryan energy, right? Which is war, which is opposition, clashing, right? So y'all be careful with that too. So now, the 12th house, right? Isolation, escapism, spiritual or emotional confusion, right? So now think about it. And I forgot to add addiction as well, right? Because the 12th house is where we try to escape, right? So when the moon transits in the 12th house, especially with like one of these planets, like Rahu or Saturn aspect, they could make decisions, man. I'm tired of people. I hate people. I just want to stay away from people. So it's a lot of negative things that can come from these transits, right? Remember, the transits are always moving, right? Especially from the mental aspect. The moon is always moving. So are you really feeling how you really truly feel in that moment, or is this something that's gonna pass within 2.5 days? Now, however, the moon might be transiting a certain house for you, but it's not transiting a certain house for somebody else. So you might be around a group of people who ain't finna have the same issues you have going on. You might flip the hell out, and then now everybody looking at you crazy from that one moment doing that transit, and that shit can mess up your reputation for a long time, right? I'm telling you. So now moon transit through the eighth house. So now it's traditionally inauspicious, right? For those who don't know what inauspicious, like it's basically saying not favorable, basically, and can make a person emotionally overwhelmed, cause panic attacks or deep-seated karmic fears to resurface, right? So now the moon conjunct or aspect by Rahu or Ketu, right? This is a type of eclipse yoga, right? So now, even in transit, right? So now, distorted emotional lens, vulnerability to emotional manipulation, spiritual hallucinations, irrational fear or ego-driven illusions, potential emotional possessive if moon is weak afflicted. So let's talk about the spiritual hallucination, right? Because the moon is the mind and the mental perception, right? And I know a person that had Rahu and Moon conjunct, and they damn near went crazy too. So the thing about it is, the moon is the mind and the emotional and perceptive aspect of who you actually are, right? You take the planet Rahu. Rahu rules obsession, but Rahu also rules illusions, right? So you can think about it. The perception is now being bound with the illusionary nature of Rahu, right? This means that some people can believe whatever the hell they want to believe, even if it's not truly there, right? And then another thing, Rahu is also about boosting things. It's an obsessive planet, right? So you got to remember that's why I got ego-driven illusions down there, right? Because it can just make you feel like, nah, what I'm saying, is right? So imagine Moon and Leo with Rahu. Man, you might have to fight them. So now, example, Moon conjunct Rahu in transit over your fourth house. The home, mind, and heart can cause unsettled emotional craving, desire for attention, or intense mother wounds to flare, right? So now the moon triggers natal planetary combination, right? So now if moon transits over afflicted nodes, right, debilitated planets or like a bad yoga, and for those of y'all who don't know what yoga is simply like a certain planetary configuration in your birth chart that like is bound together, like yoga mean like to yoke together, right? It's kind of tied together to produce certain outcomes, right? So it reactivates that karma for that day or two. So if you have Saturn in the fourth house when transiting moon enters that house, it can create a resurgence of depression, abandonment, or detachment from nurturing, right? So now this is the raw most sugarcoat. I mean, this is the raw truth, most sugarcoat, right? But in Vedic astrology, one brutal transit, which y'all can clearly see now, especially when layered over an already karmically challenged birth chart, can absolutely shatter someone's life in ways that are permanent. Jail time, betrayal from loved ones, public humiliation, financial ruin, mental breakdown, death of identity or reputation. So let's talk about that. So now listen, so now a lot of people don't really want to talk about trans in this way because people don't want to pay for negativity. I'm just gonna say what everybody's scared to say. when people get readings, they want to hear just positive, fluffy stuff, right? That can make them feel good. The majority of the time, that's what people want. They looking for confirmation bias on what can make them feel good about themselves or decisions that they're making, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Now, a lot of them don't come for just that, but this just the general populace, right? So now the thing about it is, some of these transits, you may have experienced one of these during a certain transit. The house of friends. You may have had Rahu and Moon combining right there, right then. Now you found out, okay, one of your homeboys, one of your homegirls, one of your friends are extremely fake, and they've been talking about you and been disloyal to you the whole time. You might find it out, right? Or let's say, for instance, you got Moon and Mars. You know what I'm talking about? Conjunct or where you got Moon. Um, in the sixth house and it's being aspected by Mars in the 12th house, right? So check this out. You might end up getting into some type of like fight where you end up going to jail, right? Depending on the pressure of the transit, it might result in you going to jail, right? Public humiliation. Let's say the moon transit in like your actual 10th house or even your second house. Why I say second house? Because second house rules face, right? How you know what I'm talking about, and it also rules income, especially for like people on social media, right? So now, but the 10th and the second house though. So yeah, or the seventh house, right? Different ways to look at it. So yeah, and or the 11th house too. But 10th house is like status and recognition and stuff or whatever, right? So yeah, a bad transit there, just like that, right? So yes, so now this is gonna be the last one. I'm gonna make part two tomorrow, right? So now how one transit can destroy your whole life, right? So now triggering of a natal karma, right? So when a transiting planet activates a dormant planetary yoga or a karmic seed in your chart, like Rahu or Mars in the 12th house or Saturn in the eighth, it's like striking a buried landmine. The event is already coded. The transit just simply pull the trigger, y'all. So now a person doesn't go to prison because of one action. They go because karma has ripened. Now, what do I mean by that? So the thing about it is the certain karmic totality of them having to pay for a certain consequence has been, you know what I'm talking about, always about to come, right? You see what I'm saying? It's been always about to come, right? Thing about it is now enough karma has accumulated, so when a certain planetary alignment is fixed to that certain moment in time where it's like the karma is fully ripened, that's when it's gonna fall off, and then boom, you're gonna have to experience that shit and go through it and face it, right? So yeah, it's a lot of ways to look at trends, right? But the thing about it is now we can talk about the good too. I'm gonna do a video about the good, not just the negative, but I'm gonna finish part two on this tomorrow though. So yeah, y'all. But listen, like I said, if y'all want y'all birth chart and stuff read, y'all know exactly who to come to and where to find me at. Other than that, I will holler at y'all later. Peace.